Hi everyone, Nick here. Today we're doing an ever so slightly different kind of video. It's still going to be related to F1 2019 because every video I ever do is related to that or its predecessors, but it's not actually going to have any of me racing in it. So you're not going to be seeing me stumble to 4th or 5th place or crash into someone and make an absolute mess of qualifying or something like that. Oh no, that's not going to be happening here. I figured it's a new year, it's 2020, let's try a new type of video by removing the actual content. Yeah, I know, great idea, innit? Anyway, what we're going to do here today is we're going to take the 21 circuits that are featured in F1 2019, and of course we're on the actual Formula 1 2019 calendar, and rank them. Now, before you start shouting at the screen because I'm picking courses that you think are brilliant and putting them in the awful category, then just remember this is my personal opinion. I'm sure you'll completely disagree with me. So logically we're going to go through the calendar in order, and that means that the first track we're going to look at is Albert Park in Australia. Now for this one I find it really weird because the track's alright, I don't mind it. I mean, it's got the same corner about 4 or 5 times where you're sort of braking, going down to about 4th gear or something like that, and then turning right, which is a bit annoying. But I feel like I've driven on it so many times on so many games. I mean, even back to like F1 97 on the PlayStation 1, I used to absolutely rinse this track. Possibly because it was really easy to cut the corners and thus actually win. But I don't know, I feel like it's an okay track, but I've just got very, very bored of it because of familiarity. And I feel on average I have to go average. Track number 2 is the Sakir International Circuit, I believe, in Bahrain. Now, this track has been around since about 2006, something like that. It's not the best circuit. It had that weird extra bit of a circuit in 2010 which somehow managed to make the track even worse. I'll admit, in recent years changing it to a night race has actually made it much more interesting to look at. I mean, you get the night, all the floodlights, the lights, it looks really nice, but it's an absolutely horrendous track, so it's going awful. I hate it, so sorry. Next up, China, the Shanghai International Circuit. Now these first tracks are going to suffer from the amount of times that I've done them because of the amount of aborted career modes I've had over the years, and this is almost why I haven't even started doing a career mode in F1 2019, because to be quite honest, the first few tracks are not that good, and as such it puts me off and I can't be bothered. And usually by the time I've started one, Codemasters have released a patch to fix all of the ridiculous bugs that they've added. So, don't know. China as a circuit itself, what can I say? Let's try and be generous. I don't like it. Nah, awful. Sorry. Azerbaijan, the Baku City Circuit. This is a weird one because I feel like it's not a great track. I mean, look here. The first bit of it is just right angles, just pure right angles. Then you got the twisty, horrible castle sector, which just wants to murder you. And then sector 3 is basically a straight, so it should be rubbish. But, and you'll probably find this coming out quite a bit through this, I do actually really like this track because of the challenge it presents. It's a street circuit, which means you have to be really alert the whole time because it's instant death if you mess up on a corner, and I like that. So although I'm not sure from a technical point of view it's a good circuit, racing there is a really good challenge and I really enjoy it, and this is in no way biased by the fact I've won the last race we did there. Definitely not. I'm going to put that in good. It's a good track. Maybe. Spain, the Circuit de Catalunya. This is another one of those ones that I've just been racing on forever. I mean, this was in Super Monaco Grand Prix 2, for God's sake. So it's been around a while. I don't know, I'm struggling to think of anything. I think it's just the most bang average track. It's not hateful, it's not awful. There are a few corners that I kind of quite like. I think it's just really average, so it goes in average. Track number 6 is Monaco. Now, this is gonna call back to something I said about Azerbaijan, and I think it's almost the ultimate example of that. This track is just such a challenge. You can go around the track easily enough, but if you want to go around the track at any kind of pace, you have to push. And some of the corners, you just have to, you are literally going from barrier to barrier, almost wanting to scrape your wheels against the barriers. And that's just, to do that for, we do 50% races in the league, and that's 39 laps. And if you want to have a good race, you've got to do 39 laps. No damage, don't crash, no messing up. It's just immense. It's just such a good challenge. There's no other place for it. It has to go in excellent. It just does. The races there to watch and spectate, the real races, not great, but it's a special track. It's awesome. It goes in excellent. Fight me. Next, it's the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve and Canada. Now this one, do enjoy it, and it's also had some really, really good races. It's a really fun race track to watch races on. Yeah, I like Canada. Canada's a good track, and I'm going to put it in good. It's a good fun track. It's deceptively difficult because it shouldn't be too difficult. Look how most of it's just straights and then just a chicane and then a chicane and then a chicane. That's not hard, but it is. Right, it's Paul Ricard in France. I feel like this is one of those ones where you either, I was going to say love it or hate it, you either think it's alright or hate it. I was definitely in the latter camp. When this got introduced in F1 2018, I hated it so much. But the more I raced it, the more I came to like the track, and I see it as quite an interesting challenge. The chicane down the back straight, I do really like that. I'm not really sure why, but if you nail it, it feels really satisfying to absolutely smash through there. And the final sector is one of those ones where I feel like you hate it, and then you work out exactly how to do each corner, and then you start to go, okay, I get this, that's interesting. So I'm going to put that average, because I like it, but it is the world's most boring track to watch races on. Have you seen the state of the races we've had here in 2018 and 2019? Austria, it's the Red Bull Ring. The one thing I really like about Austria is its length. It's so short that you're basically just going around the same bit of track over and over again, like minute and a few seconds laps. I like that. I really like the short tracks because you can get into a flow and a rhythm, and it kind of reminds me of Brands Hatch in that kind of way. And it's a fast track that's just over and over again, and I like that. And as such, I'm going to put that in good because I like it. Next track, Silverstone, Britain. I know lots of people really like this one, and as a British person, I should in theory support my local circuit and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to go straight out of it. I'm putting it in poor. And the reason I'm putting it in poor is I just don't like it. I don't think I ever have liked it as a track to race on. The only bit that I do kind of like is the S's, the Maggots, Beckett and all that kind of stuff. And I do like those, but for me it doesn't make up for the fact that the rest of the track is a bit rubbish. Cops is alright. So, okay, Sector 2 of this track is alright. Maybe quite good. The other ones, yeah, I don't really like them very much. And as such, I'm going to whack it in poor. So the next track on the list is Hockenheim and the German Grand Prix. This one I'm in two minds about because I do quite like it. The races we have here almost always seem to be eventful. The races in real life are eventful. The last two races have been excellent, but I find it so frustrating because I don't know if it's just me, but if I were to go onto time trial and I were to do 10 laps around this track, one of them would be valid because the first corner is a nightmare. You have to cut it if you want to get a good lap time. The last two corners, the amount of times that I have run a millimetre wide between the penultimate and final corner and then had a lap invalidated where I was up, just no. It's a good track. It's a good track and it's going in good, but it doesn't half annoy me. So think yourself lucky on that one, Germany. The Hungaroring in Budapest. It always used to have a reputation of being like Monaco, but without the barriers. And for me, having the barriers is half of what makes Monaco. It gives you that actual challenge. And if you take away that challenge, what's the point? The twisty bit in the middle, if you get it right, can be quite satisfying. There's been some good races here, but no, it has to go in poor, I'm afraid. The next track is Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Shall I just put this straight in excellent because we know it's going in excellent? I'll admit, I never massively liked it. I'd have probably previously had it in about average to good until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I properly had a go at it and decided I was going to try and drive at it, try and get a bit better at it. Maybe I was practicing a race, I can't remember. And the more and more I drove it, the more and more I enjoyed it. I just really like it. It's just such a good track. Almost every bit of Sector 2 is a challenge, but a fun challenge, and I really like that. It just all adds up, and it's just a really nice track, and I like that it's the opposite of some of the other tracks in that it's really long, so you've got the 1 minute 40, 1 minute 50 laps. Definitely in excellent. Right, the next one is Monza and the Italian Grand Prix. You're probably going to get a bit of a theme here in that I like the tracks that have something unique about them and set themselves apart. And Monza does that because what other tracks are there? It's basically just straights connected with a few corners. I mean, it's what? You've got the first chicane, second chicane, 2 Lesmos, third chicane, final corner. And that's it. So it should be boring as hell. But it's not, because it's such a challenge. You've got to thread your way through those chicanes so perfectly, and if you don't, you'll be nowhere. And while I admit I am massively biased into liking Monza because I went there in 2010 and it was amazing, I still just really love driving it. It's one of my favourite tracks to drive on, and there's just no way it can't go into excellent. Right, next track is Singapore. And do you remember at the beginning I said I really hate the start of the season because you've got tracks that I don't really like and it always puts me off doing a career. Towards the end of the calendar and this kind of area, this is where my favourite tracks really start to come into play, because for me, Singapore is in the excellent category. And again, very similar to Monaco in that it's such a good challenge. It's a long street circuit, so many corners, so testing. I just really like it. And when I first drove it on F1 2009, I had no idea where I was going. But by the time I put some practice in on F1 2010, it clicked. And I've just loved it ever since. And it's one of those tracks that I could just happily just sit there on time trial and just lap and lap and lap and just try and beat my best. And when I actually do manage to do it, because I've managed to finally do a clean lap where I haven't cut 15 of the 20 odd corners, then it's just really good feeling. So absolute massive thumbs up to Singapore, one of my definite favourites on the calendar. Right, Sochi and Russia. This is one of those ones I'm in two minds about because I do quite like it, but then I also find it incredibly annoying because there's so many corners that are just, they're not walls, they're not grass, they're just random apexes painted in a bit of concrete, and you've got to try and make sure you don't cut any of them. It's just really irritating and I don't massively like it. And it's one that I liked a lot on F1 2016. I liked a lot less in 2017 and 2018, but I think I've started to come round to it again in 2019. I'm not really sure why, but I'm going to put it in average. It's not bad, it's not great, it's a very standard filler. Next up, Suzuka in Japan. Yeah, let's not mess around. Excellent. Of course it is. It's brilliant. It's, again, one of these tracks that I never used to like back in the day, but the more I've raced it, the more I've come to enjoy it. And it is one of these tracks. I think there are certain tracks that are just wheel tracks, because that first sector with the wheel is awesome. And then once you get through, the Degners are great. Hairpin's probably the only corner I don't really like on this track. It's a bit, I don't know, it's just, I just don't really like it. I never really got the hang of it really. But the rest of the track, it's just spot on. And whether it's F1 games or even Gran Turismo Sport, I really enjoyed racing this on Gran Turismo Sport. It was one of my favourite tracks to race on there, even if it was quite tricky, because if you put a wheel anywhere near the grass at the edge of the track, you will be facing the wrong way. So Japan, thumbs up, you're excellent. Right, it's Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico. I'm not really sure why, but I really don't like this circuit, unfortunately. I think visually, watching it on TV, it's really nice. You know, the stadium section at the end, where you're going through the baseball stadium, it looks really good on TV. Horrible to drive through though. The S's in the middle of a track. I mean, I like the S's in Suzuka. I like the S's at Silverstone. Don't like them here. And I think it's kind of like what I said with Russia. They're kind of just arbitrary curbs, just placed in a bit of concrete that's just there to try and make an S bend or something like that. First sector is alright, I'll give it that. I just don't enjoy it. I really don't enjoy it. And as such, I'm afraid that Mexico is going in awful. Right, Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas, USA. What they did here is take corners from other tracks, essentially, and bolt them together into making a racetrack. So you've got, I believe, the first corner is partially influenced by the Red Bull Ring, which I put in good. You've got kind of like the S's from Silverstone, which were the only bit of Silverstone that I said I liked. You then got a load of bits of Bahrain, which is in awful. And then you got the multiple Apexes right-hander, which is ripped off from Turkey, which isn't in here because it hasn't been raced on for, since about 2010, 2011, something like that. So add all those pieces together and what do you get? Well, for me, you get the worst track on the calendar. I think it's an okay one to watch races on. I think there's been some really good races in real life, but I just don't like it at all. It's the S's I find frustrating, and then the ones towards the end of this, I think beginning of the second sector, they just seem really arbitrary. And the track limits on the game are just awful. There's some where you can cut them a tiny bit and you'll get invalidated. You can cut them a lot and they'll get allowed. Any more and it'll get invalidated. And then some you can just like go miles wide and it just seems to be what the game's feeling like at that point. The second sector's awful. Third sector is pretty bad. I just really dislike this track. It's definitely miles clear of the other ones. In fact, I'm gonna go as far as saying it's so bad it's getting its own category at the bottom. There you go. COTA goes in the COTA category of awfulness. 2 tracks left. It's Brazil and Interlagos. I feel like this is going to be a bit of a controversial one because I know lots of people really love Interlagos, and watching races there, I definitely agree. It's really good. Not sure I really like racing it though. I've never quite cracked it, and I feel like maybe it's one of those ones that eventually I will get the hang of and start enjoying and suddenly see why everyone loves it. But for me, the first chicane is fiddly. Middle sector, I don't enjoy. The third sector, it's not challenging, it's iconic, barreling up the hill at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I just don't enjoy it, I'm sorry. So I'm gonna put Interlagos in poor. Sorry about that. Right, 1 track left and it's Abu Dhabi and the Yas Marina circuit. This is probably the opposite in that there are no good races in Abu Dhabi. Well, I'll give you the one Raikkonen won in 2012. That was quite fun. But generally they're just not that interesting. But on the game, I've had some really good fun races here. And I do like that you've got the fast first sector, the fast middle sector, and then the twisty final sector. It has a bit of a contrast. And it's one of those ones that I have ploughed away for ages on time trial before, just trying to eke out that extra bit of speed. It's definitely not my favourite track though. I'm not going to mess around. It's going to go in average because it's one that I kind of like racing on it, but it is quite fiddly, and some of the corner cuts as well, just ouch. So there we have it. That is where I would rank all of the tracks in F1 2019. You got your 5 tracks up in excellent, 4 good, 5 average, 3 poor, 3 awful, and 1 COTA. So what do you think? Which ones do you disagree with? Which ones should I be just absolutely blacklisted from ever talking about anything F1 related for? And which ones do you think are actually, just told some absolute truth about and that I'm right about? Let me know in the comments below. Be really interested to see what you think. And if you want to have a go at making your own, I'll whack a link to the tier maker thingy-majig so you can do your own as well and see how close yours is to mine. That's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to like the video, or if you haven't already done so, then make sure you subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. There's usually a little bit more racing action than me talking over a table, but you're gonna have to subscribe to find out, aren't you? But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. But until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.